Hey, this is James Pelton. I am here today with Danny from MDB/Foxify. Always excited to have Danny on, just hear what he's up to, always bringing good stuff to market. I was just telling Danny that this crypto space is it's a mess right now. And there's not a lot that I'm enthusiastic about. And it's been kind of hard to get on and like look through all the project requests and things like that. But I was excited. I've been looking forward to this AMA because Danny always is bringing good stuff. And so excited to learn more about it, talk through it a little bit with you guys. If you're joining me, I hope you had a good weekend. Hope you had a good St. Patrick's Day. Is that something that's celebrated everywhere? Do you celebrate that in the UK, Danny? St. Patrick's Day?
Irish people are like sand. They get everywhere.
Okay.
And you can't get rid of it. So, yeah, no, absolutely. There's, we don't really celebrate if you're British, but, it's a good reason to go to the pub.
Yeah, gotcha. A lot of good reasons to go to the pub, right? Yeah. So if you're in the audience, need from you guys, please hit the like button as we're getting going here. If you have questions, as always, please bring those up, things you want to talk about. This is mainly focused on Foxify, but I'm sure some MDB might bleed in from time to time. And you know, what are you going to do? It's live. What are we going to do about it? But if you have questions, let me know. Comment down below. I like to say a comment just to kind of get them rolling so the YouTube algorithm picks up on things. What did you do for St. Patrick's Day? So here we all dressed up in green stuff. We made a treasure hunt for the kids, and we ate corned beef and potatoes. That's what we did. What about you, Danny? What'd you do?
See, James, I've got to say, is people like you, right? That it's your kids going to nursery and making my kids feel like their parents aren't good enough, right? Because like, what did you do on St. Patrick's Day? Our daddy watched the F1 and shouted at mummy to keep the kids out of the room.
There you go.
Like,
well, you know,
golden parent.
To each their own. You know, for some reason. Well, I actually proposed to my wife on St. Patrick's Day. So it's kind of 15 years ago as of a couple days ago. So, yep. Very cool. So it's a special day for us.
It's a tough day for her then, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's the day I tricked her into a lifelong commitment with me. So thankful for that. So we've got Buff Tony here. Good to see you, brother. Thanks for making it. Funny Turl, always great to see you. Chance, Mr. Slim Finger. You guys have some creative names here. Sometimes I feel like I missed out by just going James Pelton, but you know, it is what it is. Much love from the MDB community. In Danny, we trust. So I like that. Break that like button. If you guys have questions, so we got some questions from Quarter Mile already. Keep those going. I'll star them, and when we get to that part of the show, I'll bring them up. So
I've got an absolute nugget for you though, James. Okay. I've got a nugget for you because we were, I believe we were your best performing project last year, right?
You were. That is correct.
Right. So we've been contacted by somebody who's done a bit of research on the BNB chain, and MDB is the second best performing project on the BNB chain in the bear market. Actually, Flocky did like a 10x. Huge community. They've got 160,000 followers, I think, on their Telegram. Huge community. So MDB is actually the second. So there's going to be an article that's on the way, and MDB is the second best performing project on BNB chain in the bear market.
That's awesome. Congratulations, man. I appreciate it. I made that happen. I think
you did. Yeah. You know what? And I'll say this, and I'm probably going to offend a lot of people here. Honestly, throughout all of our history, that first ever AMA we did with you, it could have been a bit. I think that was the first time I doxed.
That's right.
But that was the only one, if I'm honest, where we were like, in James we trust at that point. That was we had and to be fair, we were launching Xenia, we doxed. It was our first time with you, so a combination of a few things coming together. But there was definitely a James Pelton inflection point on our journey, no doubt.
Hey, you know what? I'm there to do what I can. So yeah, the perfect storm of everything coming together.
Yeah.
So
And you just repeated that over and over again throughout the year. It was fantastic.
yep, that's what I do. James is the kingmaker. Oh yeah, this is a good question. We'll have to talk about this later. When are they going to beat each other up? Yeah, we'll have to talk about that. So keep the questions coming. I'm starring all of them, but I want to hear from Danny. Just kind of what are you building? Let's start with I always like to start with the elevator pitch. What is it that you're building here with Foxify?
Yeah, and you can see here the brand is a very aggressive brand, and so Foxify is a first of its kind decentralized trading platform. It's not an exchange, right? I think there's enough exchanges in the world so far. It is a trading platform. It enables people to trade two types of trading. It's got both perpetuals and also options. And for a number of different reasons, it really is a first of its kind. It's 100% trustless. There isn't, as far as we know, actually a decentralized trading platform that has some form of trading on it that is 100% trustless, actually. And it does have that, which is a bit of a scary word. I think some people hear trustless and they think, so we can't trust this, but what it means is that you don't have to trust somebody else to make a decision like you do with a central exchange. And considering the year that we had in 2022, that's huge, right? It solves a huge problem within the market, and yeah, so it brings a first of its kind. There's a very unique sort of design within it, which enables, we have, let me step back slightly. We have decentralized trading platforms, right? We're not the first people to ever do it. And they're nearly always perps trading platforms. We will have perps because people love it, right? And it's a proven model. But with perps, there's a simple model. If you're a maker, if you want to be a maker, you put your funds. If it was GMX, you put your money in GLP, right? And then if you're a trader, you're trading against the liquidity pool. So if you want to be a maker, you're in the pot. If you want to be a trader, you trade against it. One wins, the other one loses. Really simple. That's how the model works. And with our options platform, you can be a maker on a specific option, and the market sets the rate for that option as well, rather than the platform setting the rate. So that it opens up this world where anybody can become a market maker effectively, but in a very deliberate way, focus on a specific option, on a specific token. And the technology is built actually so that you can trade any token. Now, it's not going to have every token in existence day one. That's completely illogical. But it does mean that you can move, regulatory compliance. Questions obviously come up, but in time, anything with a token can be traded, whether that's, any token in existence, or whether that's Forex, commodities, looking at stocks, indexes. It's completely limitless in terms of its capability, and it's all 100% on chain.
Okay, very cool. So, can you give us? I'm always I learn through examples. So, like in school, my teacher would talk, and I was like, I couldn't understand. And then she'd do an example problem, and I'm like, oh, that's what it is. So, Can you give us an example? What is perp trading and options, and some of those words. Some people might not be as familiar with the trading terms. So, how exactly would this work for a user? What's their experience going to be like?
Yeah, that's a great question. Look, and we actually just published an article. So we're starting really from the ground up. We've just published some content around what is perps trading, and I'll check it out on the Foxify Twitter page. But it is look, ultimately when you speculate on whether something's going to go up or down, and the value of that is always moving. Your P&L then sits in the middle, which is profit and loss. And if you say you think it's going to go up, you've said long. If you think it's going to go down, and your P&L will reflect how far that has moved. And you can use leverage. So the interesting thing with perps is that you basically borrow cash, you provide collateral, so that's your trade amount, and then you borrow cash with leverage. So you might 20x leverage. So you put 1K and you get another 19 actually to 20x that amount. And ultimately that means that you can make a lot more money because you're trading with a bit of yours and a lot of someone else's. But it also means on the downside, it's also very, very, very risky. So it's something that you should be super careful of and really make sure that you're completely educated. So that's because you can be liquidated, and liquidated means all your money is gone, like absolutely gone. A lot of people have been liquidated over the last few months, you know, short in Bitcoin and Ethereum, and you know, many billions of dollars have been lost. So that's perpetual. With options, I suppose the standard way that options work is that you basically have a timed option. So you choose an asset and then you speculate on the price of that asset, and then it has an expiry date. But Foxify options is slightly different, because actually you can choose the time and you can choose the rate that you want to offer to the market, or you can come along and you can accept the trade. So I'll give you that example that you're looking for, James. So maybe I say, look, Bitcoin's been pumping non-stop, right, for months. I don't think it's going to do it again tomorrow. So I'm happy to offer anybody who wants to take me on 5x if Bitcoin goes up 5% tomorrow, right, in an 8-hour period. So I could take $100 and I could offer a 5x, which means I could take trades up to $20, right, because I can only cover it times 5. So James comes along and says, well, I think Bitcoin's going to pump another 5% in the next 8 hours. You can put down only $20, and if you're right, you're going to take my 100. And if you're wrong, you're going to lose your 20 to me, and I'm going to accumulate that 20 on top of my 100. But it's very unique in the way it's designed, because the crypto market is non-stop, right? It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365, and you know, that time period is you know, that begins and ends every single block. If you look at, say, an hour period, every block there is a new hour period for ETH, right? So it means that you can have basically this rolling order book, where you've got makers, people who are providing liquidity and setting the rate on the option, and then you've got takers, people that come along and say, well, that looks like an interesting return, and I'm gonna take a risk on that outcome.
Do you provide any type of guidance for people? Because I think one challenge I would have is knowing what type of bets people would be willing to take. Like,
Right.
I don't know if, that's trades. That's right. I keep calling it
This isn't
gambling.
live, is it?
Yeah, we'll edit that part out. Well, let's address that actually. So a lot of people consider futures trading to be kind of just gambling. You know, no one knows the future. So how do you kind of look at that? Do you look at this as is this an investing thing? Is it a game? Is it a combination between the two? Or how do you kind of look at futures trading like this?
No, I think they're all different mechanisms for speculating on the value of an asset. It's trading in the strictest terms. I think it's very difficult, and it's a fantastic question that you asked, because I think the question on whether somebody's gambling probably comes on their own preparation, and actually, there's an academy within the platform that's really important. The affiliate network within the platform is really important as well, because then you've got this network of people that's going to share educational content and advice. And in fact, what we're also going to do is use because the good thing is that all of the data is there. It's just about probabilities, right? And so we're crunching sort of big data at the moment. And then you can use that data within the UI to offer really heat maps also to help people understand maybe something is really high risk. It might be super high return, but it's really high risk. Or actually, you can help someone understand that there's real value maybe available on an option at the moment. So maybe I'll give you a very simple example. Maybe ETH moving 1% in 4 hours might happen block to block 1 in 5 times. So that means that if somebody offers you a 10x on that, that's a fantastic rate. You could still be wrong, right? You could still be wrong, but there's some probability that you can use there to understand whether that looks healthy for you, or even guide people, because you know the great thing about Foxify is that it really opens up the market maker side for normal people, right? That is just something that just doesn't exist within trading at the moment. So you don't always have to be the first person, as you said, that's gambling by trading. You can also look at the options book and say, you know, I've only got $100, and instead, do you know what? I'm going to put a rate down. I'm going to create an option at a rate that I'm comfortable with, and you will only accept trades at that rate. So you won't take any risk any greater than you're prepared to take. And if nobody else wants to take, maybe it's not good enough for the market, then maybe nobody takes your trade on. But you know, at the same time, you're not kind of getting sucked into something that maybe is probably too risky for you.
Okay. No, very good. No, that's super helpful. And yeah, that's I love that you're providing education as part of it because I really do think in futures trading, it's the most educated who usually do the best. The people who've done
Yeah.
the research. Some people just have feelings like, oh, I think Bitcoin's going to do this. And then they,
Yeah.
might bet on that. Whereas someone else is actually looking, like you said, at the probability that that is actually going to happen. And then putting odds based on that. Do you give any kind of guidance for people on like, hey, if you're saying Bitcoin's going to go up 5% in one day, you're probably going to have to do this kind of odds if you're going to cover that. Do you guys do any kind of guidance like that? Or is it just completely open-ended for people to put whatever they want?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, it is open ended, and there is a really healthy side to that as well, right? Because within almost every trading platform that you can find, the platform basically sets the rate or the formula that makes the calculation. Within Foxify, what's very unique on the option side is that even you and I, James, we could both be makers and we could start to compete. And if we're both competing for the trader's trade, then what do? We start to create more value for the trader, right? So maybe that 1 in 5, you offer a 2x, and I come along and say, well, it's only going to happen 1 in 5, so I'll offer a 3x. And you say, okay, well, I'll offer a 3 point, and the fact that we on the maker side now start to create competition, that in turn then creates greater value for the or potential greater value. But yeah, the reason we're running that data is so that you can have so that you could inform users of the platform where there's particular opportunities. It's very difficult though, because you can't, if you could tell, if anybody had a formula which could tell you exactly what was definitely going to happen, then would all be extremely wealthy. So is it always to be treated with care, always educate yourself. And I'll say that's the biggest difference. The type of trade for me is probably less impactful on whether you'd call it gambling or trading than how educated the individual is when they go into that.
Totally agree with that 100%. It's kind of in a way it's a competition against other people and their knowledge and what they think is going to happen. And it can seem completely random at times because that's kind of how markets can seem at times. But
Yeah,
if you play the odds, you'll probably do better than somebody who's just going in
indeed.
guessing. So,
And there's also, it's about managing your emotions at the same time rather than just sort of having the data. And that's also a competition, right? Whenever you win at something, right, the money is coming from somewhere, and vice versa. And that's always the uncomfortable truth in life. What's really interesting around the way Foxify options work, because you've got effectively retail can operate on both sides of a trade, whereas that doesn't exist in other trading platforms. It means that you're not stuck on this. The social engagement side only comes from people winning trades. That's all we ever see, right? You see, I made 100% P&L on BitGet, and here's Lionel Messi, and it looks fantastic, and that's all you ever see, right? You never, despite the fact that 90% of traders lose, we only ever see the winnings. Whereas with Foxify, it's a much more honest thing, because actually the social side of it starts when you open a possible option as well. So you can open an option and say, look, come and take me on this specific option. You can disagree with me, and that creates lots of other things that you can do. You've got affiliate teams, project teams. You can, we're hiring country leaders at the moment, so then you can have like a World Cup, and it's, how does one team perform versus another during this World Cup and the knockout phases. There's lots of really cool things you can do to make it much more engaging as well.
okay, very exciting. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. Will this be available in the U.S.? I was going to ask about that. Is that up to us to figure out, or is there anything on your side you have to do? U.S. is pretty anti futures and anti crypto futures, and I was just wondering if you know anything about that.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. In fact, there's other regions maybe that are even more hawkish on that certain type of model. I think, look, from our perspective, we're not specifically targeting certain markets, but we're a welcoming organization, and happy to cater for all major languages.
Okay, very good. No, appreciate it. I was going to ask too, before we get to audience questions, we've got a whole bunch flooding in. So that's awesome. Love you guys. You make my job so easy. But I was going to ask, how do you guys make money? And is there a way for us to get involved as investors to also make money alongside you?
Yeah, yeah, it's a fantastic question. Look, I think so how does Foxify as an organization makes money in the same way as anybody that would own the Foxify token actually. So in terms of the way the platform generates fees from perps, it's what we call in-out fees and also borrow fees for using leverage from the liquidity pool. And from the options actually, it doesn't, we don't charge to trade on the options. In fact, fees are only taken from winners. So there's no double kick in the balls for not being successful in the trade, and then those fees are distributed across a number of different routes, but ultimately then they're fed out to people who stake the Foxify token. Now we don't launch until June. We're like super early. We're not going to get the white paper out until April because we don't want to be forked before we're out of the gate. And you know, some of this is to be sorted out. In terms of like how do people take part? You can either trade, right? If that isn't for you, you can deposit liquidity in the perps pool and you earn 50% of the trading fees on the perp side, or you can buy the Foxify token on the open market and you can stake that, and then you earn then a share of the fees that the platform generates, and that's also where the platform gets its own income from as well, actually, by owning a share of those tokens. And then you could auto stake, so your earnings could actually be auto staked across in the perps pool again. So there's a real sort of like compound effect there. From an investment point of view, we've got MDB is the first and most prominent investor in Foxify, and that's the link. And the majority of funding beyond that point is coming from sort of private investors and VCs, and you know, we're sort of like strong on that path at the moment, and making fantastic progress. We're not there isn't a plan at the moment to do any sort of like DeFi pre-sale or anything like that, or token pre-sale, but there is MDB as a community, as an organization, and also financially is making a huge contribution to Foxify. So there is an opportunity for VIPs, that's if you own 1 million MDB tokens, and also for Millionaires Club members to get a sneaky in, but and you know, get a minority part of the Foxify tokens, just as a thank you really for all the contribution. And yeah, that's your only way in. Otherwise, it's it's on the open market, and we're being very tight in terms of the way we run things. So almost like every Foxify token in existence will be vested. So and a large proportion of the supply will be owned by a couple of entities. One of them being Foxify itself will have the vast majority. A nice chunk will then be owned by a few private investors. So actually, the Foxify token itself is not going to be seeing much sell pressure, because you know we don't want this pump and dump sort of situation. It is a very technologically advanced trading platform, first of its kind, and it's not about the token is a utility rather than being something that is there for pump and dump sort of mentality.
Okay, very good. I was gonna, since you mentioned MDB, I don't want to talk too much about MDB because I want to focus on Foxify for this one. But how will this affect MDB? You know, as Foxify is successful, how does that affect MDB holders like myself?
Yeah, like yourself. Yeah. Well, it's a fantastic situation, right? I think what you always sit down at the end of a year and you've got to be honest with yourself and say what's worked for MDB. And I think what's really worked for MDB is that we've got a fantastic community, great team. We've got people like you, James, that support us, and we're beating the odds and delivered fantastic results. If we go below that though and stop sort of patting ourselves on the back, in truth, it shows how well the model works, because actually investing has been extremely difficult for the protocol. It's been very difficult for the protocol to make money from other protocols or other projects. And in the brutal honesty is that when we've invested in ourselves, we've nearly always got a fantastic return. And when we've invested in others, it's been much, much, much more difficult, as you experience in your own series, right, James? So, when you've got an organization that is built on investing in other projects, then it naturally has felt some pain. But all of the other things has managed to overcome that pain, luckily. And to really, Foxify is an opportunity for MDB to invest in ourselves as a team. And MDB is making an initial maximum investment of $1 million, and that gets it preferential access, and there's lots of benefits for Foxify for that as well, beyond sort of monetary, and at the same time it also means that MDB is going to have, because of its portion of the organization that it owns, it's going to have a significant revenue stream as a result of Foxify's success. And the assets that MDB holds, will grow exponentially.
Love it. Do you have any? This is gonna be a very difficult question to answer. But do you have any? This is a question that people keep asking. What kind of returns should someone expect? Like what range? I mean, it depends a lot on the how successful Foxify is in their marketing and things like that. But how should someone think about this, like as an investment? What they might get, buying the Foxify token and staking it.
Yeah, it's very difficult because you've got, and everything we do is like this. Everything I do is like this. It's very honest, and there's a ratio there, right? There's how much does it cost you, and how much revenue is that generating, and the combination of those two things is really important, and there's so many factors that go into that. I think so. Yeah, it's very difficult to say. I can talk about our ambitions, from an investment perspective. When we're going out to private and VC investors, we're making a cautious ambition of generating $250,000 a day in fees in the first year, which is obviously pretty significant numbers. But what's the point of doing something if you're not going to be at least ambitious and try and change the game? And me personally, I've got this personal ambition that we do $1 million a day in fees, and $1 million times 365, and you don't have to be a mathematician to work out that has a significant impact. But this is James, you're a businessman, you've got lots of experience, and people should remember that it's an incredibly difficult space. MDB has been hugely successful when you compare it to the environment that we've been in. But at the same time, it's not to say that the odds were with us. It's a really hard space. So nothing's guaranteed, but we either get rich or we're definitely going to die trying.
Awesome. And I love the way that you've done all of your MDB. You did this as well, but you don't ever promise ahead of time, because that's when you end up with the deflation and things like inflation and things like that. Yeah. But you just, hey, we're gonna do our best, and then this is maybe what you're gonna get out of that.
Yeah, I would say, just to maybe to give some like, maybe whilst I can't answer the question, I can give some context. So when you launch a platform of any type, really, it can also be a SaaS business, as you understand that world quite well, James. That when you launch a platform, you always think, where do I get my first 10,000 users from? And then you think, where do I get 1 million users from, right? And first 10,000 is like validation that this works, and we're on to something. And then your 1 million users is, this is going to be rocking, right? This is going to be dream making stuff. So from our perspective, we've got this strategy. The reason we actually started off in the original design with the options design, and then we added perpetuals. We saw a way that we could add some unique elements with perpetuals, but also it's very proven, right? So when you go and talk to VCs, they say, show me something that's innovative, that's never been done before. And you show them and they go, great, but is it proven? And that's a never-ending loop, right? So strategically, what we see is that we've got something that is very proven, and we've got something that is innovative and never been done before, and we've got the two together. So we think that's a really powerful combination. In terms of first 10,000 users, I think I would hope that because of not only the communities that we already have engaged, and also probably some of the reputation, many people look at MDB and say, look, yeah, they've done well, but I'm going to invest because they feel like they're late, right? And So I think we've got this broader sort of network of awareness naturally around MDB. So I feel very comfortable with that first 10,000 users where, if I'm honest, if you're a brand new startup and you're new in the space, that is a big question mark, right? That first 10,000 is you living or dying. I feel very comfortable that we'll get there almost immediately. Then the question is, how do we get to 1 million users? And we've got this 100 million eyes on the brand strategy. And that's where the partnerships with people like Tyson Fury, the global affiliate program, central exchange listings, all of those things are all going to come together. We're going to do an NFT mint, free NFT mint in tranches leading up to June. So these are all things that just create, significant exposure for the project. So we're in a position where that 10,000 users is literally our starting point, and we start making a march towards 1 million users as quickly as possible.
Can I ask about the marketing? So it seems to me, I can tell from your branding and the fact that you had Tyson Fury and things like that, you're not aiming at like just this little corner of DeFi that we normally live in, this little corner, but it seems like you're trying to go broader to crypto in general, and maybe even out of crypto, bring, other people in. Is that kind of the way you guys are thinking through this?
Yeah, in time. And I think, part of our strategy as an organization is to build $1 billion business, which is a Web3 competitor to mainstream applications like eToro, Robinhood, and really disrupt that space, actually. We talk about this 200 trillion market, which is, we're talking about trading volume there rather than, a traditional market. And when you go beyond sort of the space, certainly our corner of DeFi, and when you go much further beyond that and you start looking at trading volumes across more traditional assets like commodities and forex and stocks and things like that, the volumes are insane. They make the volumes in crypto look like pennies, right? The volumes are absolutely insane. But those industries still have the same problem, which is you could be the best trader in the world, you could be educating yourself for decades, but you go to bed and you still got to worry about, is my exchange or is my broker going to be solvent in the morning? And it's the same issue the world over, and we're seeing it right in banking at the moment. And so Foxify has this huge potential way beyond crypto, which is to bring a trustless platform that's 100% decentralized in terms of the way the technology is executed, to disrupt actually more traditional markets.
Okay. Yeah, no, I love that. And I'm glad that you're really emphasizing that trustless and even educating people what that means, because like I run Forex bots, for example, not quite the same thing, but the biggest risk by far is the exchange that I'm using. And my bot might be doing awesome. I might be making all this money, but then the exchange won't allow me to withdraw my funds or whatever the case might be. So yeah, trustless is huge.
So we've got some really clever people working for us, and they're developing sort of the automation and the API strategy. So you would just be able to take your bot when we have Forex on the Foxify platform, which is a matter of when rather than if, and you would just be able to plug into the API, and that's it. That like you said, your single biggest concern is now gone. You've just got to worry about your bot. That's it.
Okay. Yeah. Love it. Looking forward to it immensely. We have a whole bunch of questions. I keep saying I'm going to get to them, but I have things I want to know first, guys. So we'll get to yours here in a second. So are you going to be open at launch? Are you going to be kind of launching token by token, or are you going to launch with everything's available and then you're going to be doing, a Forex later and things like that? Or what's kind of the strategy of how you're going to be rolling stuff out?
Yeah, so it's a great question. Look, I think you've got a couple of things there. One, you've got sort of regulatory compliance questions on one side, so it makes sense to start with crypto, some regulated, and then think about then how you expand into those other markets, right? And once you've landed, then you expand. Standard sort of terminology in any sort of tech startup. So the volume is there in crypto. You're generating the volume, and then you expand into other markets, and that takes a bit of time. You're not going to move into. In theory, there is a Tesla token, right, that tracks the value of Tesla stock. The technology that we're building and bringing to market, you could trade options on Tesla stock on our platform, 100% on chain, totally trustless. But in truth, you're going to upset some people if you do that without being compliant in a number of different areas. So there's a process there to go through. So that's very much sort of phase 2 is moving on to sort of regulated assets. But there's also then a logical rollout, right? One thing with a model like this, you need makers and takers. You need people on both sides of the trade. And if you end up with a guy who wants to trade one thing and a guy who wants to provide liquidity on something else, and they're not meeting, then it's game over. It doesn't work. So you do have to methodically work through it. But that's also really helpful, actually. So you imagine you could say, we're going to list Doge. And on our platform, you don't need agreement from anybody to list something, actually. You can just do it. So you can pinpoint a large community. You can target them. You can be very systematic in terms of your marketing and go-to-market strategy, and then you can open the book. And as long as you've got volume on both sides of the book, then the system works. And if you're not getting volume, you can just pull it, right? You can say, well, this isn't for us. And there's a million other things that have got volume. Remember that Bitcoin has a lot of volume, but it's still a smidge of all of the different trade, things that you can trade globally. So yeah, there has to be some sort of like some practical sort of rollout. I think there's lots of, and it's probably me driving this actually. I say, you can short anything on the platform, and that's true in theory, but in truth, if there's a DeFi token that's getting 10k a day volume, it's how many trades are going to be on the order book for that project? Is it going to be interesting enough?
Right. Nope. I think that's really smart because when you're first starting out, it's going to be harder to find people that take your trades. So if there's way more options, it's going to be even harder to find those. So you can start kind of limited in scope, and then as the user base grows, well, now we can add in sheep, we can add in. There's all sorts of things I would love to short. So this is great. I'm looking forward to it for sure. And then this was a good question. You talked about this earlier, but just want to make sure everybody understands. So it's a DEX. How does this compare to a traditional decentralized exchange?
Yeah, it's not. Look, I suppose it has some similarities because there are decentralized exchanges that have trading capabilities within them. But as we talk about DEXs, typically it's they're liquidity pools, they're places where you actually exchange the token. In our world, you don't need any liquidity of it. And even back to that idea, you could, if you really wanted to, you could have like a flash order book. You could pick something that's quite niche, and so we're going to run an order book for a week, and then you could open up an options order book, and that could also be used as like a very sort of like targeted sales and marketing tool. So it's a decentralized trading platform. It's not a competitor to things like PancakeSwap, Uniswap, but it's definitely a competitor to things like GMX, DXDY, GNS, albeit I could, there's 5 very advanced blockchain technology that we're using to deliver some automation features that none of these guys have. Like none of them have it. So whilst we've got some crossover with those worlds, there's we're definitely bringing our own game.
Could you for people, so like I'm familiar with GMX a little bit, but could you kind of maybe talk about what you guys saw, the hole you saw in the market with things like GMX and some of the other perp traders, and what you're doing a little bit different than they are?
Yeah, absolutely. And to be fair, right, we talk about GMX, and as I've described before, our innovation is really around the options. Yeah, and that's our baby. That's our design. It's our baby. It's not inspired by anything actually that exists within crypto today, and you can't find anything like it within crypto. But when you look at the volume is, as I've described before, you want that combination of innovation, because maybe that can 100x anything that's ever existed before, but at the same time having some being assured. I always say perps is like selling coffee at the gas station. Yeah, if you're going to bring people in for all that gas, then you might as well sell them some coffee, because they're going to want that first thing in the morning. And so there's a number of things that are different to how other perps platforms operate that I can't share at the moment. But let's just say the platforms are extremely easy to engage with and for people to use. On the options, where it's completely different, and it's probably the biggest single difference. almost every decentralized trading platform, almost all of them are perps, right? And if you want to be a maker, i.e. you want to provide liquidity and make money being a maker to trades, then you have to deposit your liquidity, right? And you get an aggregate. You get this 25% or whatever it is APY, and it's just it's fairly boring, right? But it's steady and it does deliver a return. Whereas or you're a trader. So I call it the sheep or the wolf. So whether it's GMX or GNS or something like that, there's still the sheep, which is the traders, because they do lose statistically more than the liquidity pool. And the liquidity pool, if you want to be a wolf, you're in there. With our options platform, you can provide liquidity on specific options. So you can decide to be a maker with your own personal strategy. And then you can compete with other makers to try and obtain as much in terms of trades against your liquidity. You can't do that on these other platforms. You deposit, it's in the mix, and you get what you get. Whereas it enables you to be like a semi-sophisticated even sort of market maker, and that's very different. Apologies, I've been ill. I was telling James before, I've been ill for like 8 days, and so my voice is like super croaky.
No, it sounds very deep and authoritative. So no, you're doing great. Well, let's go ahead. Let's get to some audience questions. So guys, keep them coming. We'll go for 20 minutes with audience questions. We'll get through as many as we can. Sorry I took so long, but I've been wanting to learn more about this myself. So I'm doing that. A quarter mile says, who's got custody of users' capital? So that is the beauty. It's in the smart contract, correct?
No one, nada.
Yep, and that's what makes it trustless, is you're not relying on anybody. No, there's no one really to rug pull or anything like that.
I can give you a nugget. I'll give you a nugget.
So, I love nuggets. Go ahead.
So a little nugget. So all of these other platforms, they say decentralized, but they're actually running, nearly all of them, I might get sued, but screw it. As I understand, nearly all, if not all of them, rely on off-chain services to execute. So if you want to place a market order, or if you want to say, look, sell for me at this value, then it relies on another service which is running off-chain. Sometimes that service doesn't work. Who do you go to? No one. You go to the crypto police. Sorry. You get liquidated, it doesn't kick in. And this happens. We've been testing platforms ourselves, and this happens a crazy amount of times. So whilst it's decentralized, you're relying on servers and bots and other things to enable things to be automated. What we're doing on our options side is it is 100% trustless. You're not relying on anything else, and you're also able to execute automated trades on options that is 100% driven by the smart contract, and it's using really bleeding edge smart contract technology. That's a huge USP actually.
Okay, very good, love it. Next question from Funny Turo. For Foxify, how will the decentralized portion work? Do you connect your MetaMask, able to trade Bitcoin on it? How are funds going to kind of be put into there?
Yeah, great question. So we haven't decided on the chain. We're talking to 4 chains at the moment. And once we do decide, it doesn't really matter. You land on the platform, you'll actually be able to on ramp on the platform. There's a little nugget that I think most people don't know. Or if you've got some stable, you can swap on the stable swap across to the chain that the platform is on, and then you use stable. And when you're successful, you receive stable. So you don't actually have to be holding Bitcoin to speculate on the value of Bitcoin.
Okay, awesome. Nope, that makes a lot of sense. That was the next question. Is there going to be a way to on-off ramp? Is that a big part of what you guys are doing?
On ramp, yes. Off ramp, no.
Okay, so you can check, you can get money in, but you can't get it out.
you can take it in stables, and you can take it to somebody else that can deal with all of that. Even Binance in the UK has stopped withdrawals. You can't withdraw cash anymore to your bank account from Binance in the UK. It's huge. So look, if you can do $7 trillion of volume a year, and and you can't off ramp in the UK, then we're certainly not going to be in a position to do it.
Yeah, no. Okay, good. And Mr. Slimfigure says this AMA is a whole bucket of nuggets. Yes, that is what we have here today. So, to invest in Foxify with MDB at 3 cents, will sell tax apply on the MDB? So do you want to talk about, is there a special deal for MDB holders? Do you want to talk through that at all?
Yeah, look, we've you know, as part of the deal with MDB, there's an allocation there for Millionaires Club members and VIPs. So that's owning a minimum of, at the moment it's about 700, because it works on like a there's like a strike rate of a number of tokens. So it's about $700 at the moment. Or VIP is 1 million tokens, which is about $13,000. And there's allocations there available. And you know, as a thank you to the community, there's an opportunity just to swap sort of 1-for-1 at a very favourable rate. We'll talk about that specifically with the community and the mechanics of it.
Okay, very good. So hop into the MDB Discord if you want to know more about that. Funny Turo says, I'm looking forward to the crypto options on MDB. When will MDB be available on Foxify? Is that one going to be one of the launch coins or not?
Probably not. Probably not. Being brutally honest, you want volume, right? And there's no point in us getting high on our own egos. At the end of the day, MDB isn't a high volume. It's a relatively small sort of size project, and it might make us feel good to be listed on there, but in truth, it probably doesn't make great business sense. You want to prioritize where there's billions of dollars of daily trading volume. That makes business sense.
Yeah, nope, got it. Alif wants to know, when is this launching? Do you want to talk a little bit about the roadmap and where we're at and what's in the future?
Yeah, so huge amount going on. So we've got we launch in June. We've got we were platinum sponsors at the London Blockchain Summit, and that was in February. And we attended several events in Dubai. We also sponsored an event in Dubai, but they moved it to October. So we'll be back out in Dubai again in October. And I'm actually going to be in Dubai in a couple of weeks' time as well, meeting more investors. We are exhibiting at Consensus in Austin. We do have an opportunity, actually. We've got a few spare tickets kicking around, and we will prioritize people that might want to offer a helping hand. Tickets for Austin, like $1,500 just to walk through the door. So we do have a few tickets for people that fancy getting involved. In London, we had several people that flew in and supported the team for several days. It was brilliant. We had like probably 12 people, I think, got together in London. So yeah, and then we moved to Istanbul. So in May, we'll be exhibiting in Istanbul, which has a huge market, in fact, in Turkey, and potentially attending another show in June, but then launching in June. But the big news is that as part of our partnership with Tyson Fury, Foxify will have those 100 million eyes on it. He recently announced, although just finalising the final details, the first world unification fight actually in the heavyweight division for many years is going to happen at Wembley in front of 90,000 people, probably 10 million plus pay-per-view, and Foxify will be on the Tyson Fury fight kit.
Awesome. How did you get connected with Tyson Fury? Can I ask that?
Yeah, a lot of people ask that. They said, "Oh, is there like a connection there or family connection?" I love your motivational sort of quotes that you put on Twitter, James, and it's the harder you work, the luckier you seem to get, right? And I think sometimes you just got to decide that it's not an option for something not to happen, and it's surprising how often that thing will happen. So it was just a lot of graft, a lot of persistence. I think I was probably, they were either going to call us back or call the police, and lucky for us, they called us back.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you want to talk about the token itself? You talk about a sex listing. Do you know where it's going to be listed, or do we have any info on purchasing or anything like that? Or not yet?
Yes, it'll be available on decentralized exchanges, of course, but we're looking at central exchange listings So we want multiple day one on launch. Would like, you know, a big name to sort of to launch with. So, you know, those conversations are starting to take place. But quite frankly, you know, that's a huge priority around sort of May time. We'll be putting a lot of energy into that. And the token itself is a very simple creature, a bit like me. And you know, the token is staked to earn a share of trading fees on the platform.
Okay, very good. And then maybe last question. If anybody else in the audience has questions. Oh, Funny Turo's got one more here. What stage of development is Foxify currently in? Do you have any screenshots you can show us now? People are always looking for that alpha.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. If we know, you know, I would love to release the white paper. I'm so proud of the work that the team's doing and impressed, right? I'm a huge fan of it myself. And but you know, we're definitely not going to be putting anything out into the open. And it's all about timing as well, right? You want to create, you know, the groundswell at the right time. You also don't want to be copied and forked, which is just almost a given, right, in this space. If you know, MDB, I think has never been over 15 million market cap, and you know, we've definitely been forked, and you know, maybe, you know, heavily influenced at least 3 or 4 other protocols. So we don't want to be in the same position. So Funny Toro, it will come, buddy.
Good things come to those who wait. Yeah, and actually, I was even thinking as you were talking through this, I was like, hey, I could build something like that, but it's the getting enough people on it. Like, I think you guys have had some wonderful branding, wonderful marketing, able to get people like Tyson Fury, and it's going to put you in a spot where it can't be forked. Like, I could spin up a contract that does this, you know, and some of what you're doing. But it doesn't not gonna be worth anything unless there's people on it using it. And that's what
Of course. Yeah. Well, you need liquidity providers in big numbers. You need investment in big numbers. You need big names to support you, and a bit like MDB actually. One of the greatest assets that we've got when we enter conversations is, oh yeah, we're in crypto, and people go, oh Jesus, and you go, yeah, but look at what we did, and they go, wow, like and so that, you know, it's very difficult to recreate that. Even if I could have the all of the same idea and inclination, probably without, you know, that example of MDB to show people, it'd be very difficult to get the same level of buy-in. So yeah, it would fork it at your peril.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say I would be a lot more skeptical if I didn't already have experience with you and what you're doing. I'd be, you know, it'd be, you know, a project, but no, I love this. What chain will Foxify be launched on?
As Random Art, he keeps Random Arts keeps messaging me about a chain, so it's like a very pointed question. It's TBC.
What was it? TBD, you said?
To be confirmed or decided.
Okay, TB. In America, we say TBD, to be determined.
We do both.
Okay.
I'm feeling a bit TBC today.
Okay, TBC. All right, TBC on what chain Foxify will be launched on. So, well, let's go ahead and wrap up. One other thing I was wanting to know about, I think my audience might too. Do you want to talk a little bit about the affiliate program? Is that only for influencers, or is that something that anybody can partake in, or how is the affiliate program kind of work?
It is at the moment. There'll be sort of a broader affiliate, but the affiliate network is really critical, and actually up to 30% of trading fees will go out to affiliates, and we are doubling down on that strategy actually. So everything that we're doing over the next 2 months is about driving traffic to early affiliates. So when we do the free NFT mint, which will be a Willy Wonka style, you could mint an NFT that's maybe worth a few dollars on the open market. You could be lucky enough to mint an NFT that could be worth tens of thousands of dollars once the platform launches. But you can only mint if you join an affiliate team. So if you're an early affiliate, like our friend James, then you would say, oh, well, I want to mint my NFT. Who do I know? And you would join. And so that's how the process is going to work. So it's you know, we want our affiliates to support us, and we're doubling down on supporting our affiliates as early as possible, because that's the best way for the partnership to work.
Okay, very good. And we have Action Crypto, another fellow YouTuber, and he was asking about the affiliate program too. So all the YouTubers, we want to know about the affiliate program. You know, that's important. It's how we pay the bucks sometimes. So
What was the
appreciate it.
question there? I know you're going to various conferences, followed by an affiliate program. What are
Pretty
your
much what you just
expectations?
answered. He just
Yeah,
asked the exact same question. He told me, no, that's my question. He's a fellow YouTuber, so we have the same thoughts in our
very
mind.
good. And
But
we, at the same time as well, I think, one thing I don't like about this space to have a little whinge, and James definitely isn't like this actually, so I don't mind whinging at James about it. In this space, it's so fickle. It's so fickle. If people think that most people, if they think that you're not going to put money in their pocket right now, they will not give you the time of day. So actually, it might not be the smartest thing to always do. I love helping other people. It doesn't have to be a big trade, like it doesn't have to be a huge win for us in that moment. I love it when people believe in us and sort of support us through our journey. And I love, we did so Sean in Australia, Good Day Crypto. I don't know if you know him. He did a video a couple of days ago. No offense, James, one of the best YouTube videos I've ever seen done. It was brilliant. He put so much passion and energy, and for me, I really want to support people that can kind of like buy into people, and we buy into them, they'll buy into us, and yeah. So we're not being too ruthless on that.
Okay, very good. Love it. Well, let's go ahead and wrap up there. We're closing in on an hour. If people have additional questions, is Telegram, I saw you guys have Telegram link. Is that the best place for people to go if they have more questions, or where should people go?
Yeah, so if you go to the website, there is a Telegram, but at the moment, until April, we'll open up the socials. At the moment, Twitter is a fantastic place. It's really bouncing already. We've already got 7,000 followers on Twitter, which is a good number considering it's organic and we're very early. And at the moment, you're probably best off being in the MDB Discord. But our Foxify Discord will launch at some point, probably in a few weeks' time. And then there's going to be some pretty exciting stuff happening around the NFT. So at the moment, I think, I wouldn't go Telegram personally. I would join Telegram because it is going to open up at some point. I would go to Twitter, follow our Twitter. You get loads of information there. And I would get in amongst the MDB Discord.
Okay, sounds great. So yeah, go follow on Twitter. I'm going to recommend everyone, if you're watching this, just click the link in the comments to the Foxify Trade, and hit follow. Okay, everybody can do it. It's free. No reason to not do it. So go follow them on Twitter. They'll keep you updated. And my channel, I'm sure I'll keep you guys updated as well. I'm an affiliate. I'm planning on talking about this. I like it. I think it's going to be fun. I think it fills a hole that isn't really there. I think there's real revenue streams. There's actual opportunity for, like you said, not only the traders to make money, but for the platform to make money. It's kind of a win-win. Well, there is one loser, whoever is not good at perp trading or options trading, but
we're all adults, right?
Yes, we're all adults. That's correct. So thank you, Danny. Well, thank you, audience. First off, appreciate you guys coming to watch. Again, the reason that I'm able to, have Danny on, the reason I was able to hop on with Tyson Fury and all these things is because of you guys, because I have an audience. So appreciate you guys very much. Thank you for your support. Hit like on your way out. And Danny, as always, thank you for building something in the space. I was telling Danny, I'm just so tired of so much garbage being built all over the place. And I was looking forward to Monday. Well, we were supposed to do it last week, but we had a timing miscommunication. And I've just been looking forward to, please, something that I can be excited about. So thank you, Danny, for building that and keep adding to the space.
Thank you. No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure, right? No pressure. And make sure you get that contract audited for sure once you get it going. So, no. Awesome. Well, hey, everybody, thank you so much. Appreciate all you guys. We'll close off there. Appreciate it and hope you all have a great rest of the day. Thank you so much.